4:42 a.m., April 2nd, 2025. The Red Sea, a flashpoint of global tension, was ripped open by fire. From deep within Yemen, 15 ballistic missiles and over 20 combat drones surged into the sky. Their target, the USS Harry S. Truman, a 100,000-ton, $13 billion floating fortress. This wasn't just an attack. It was a message, a direct strike on the heart of American naval dominance in one of the world's most strategic waterways. The enemy didn't just want to damage the ship. They wanted to blind her, break her, sink her. But what followed wasn't fear. It wasn't retreat. It was precision, defiance, and firepower. This is not just a war story. It's the untold account of how a U.S. aircraft carrier stood alone, outnumbered, ambushed, and surrounded, and emerged unbroken. A strike that would echo through war rooms across the globe, from Washington to Beijing. So what happened when the carrier was hit? What did the sailors see, hear, do? Let's uncover the truth, layer by layer, system by system, shot by shot. April 1st, 2025. The Red Sea was calm. No wind, no clouds, just the soft hum of engines and the steady patrol of the USS Harry S. Truman, a floating city of steel and readiness. From the flight deck to the lowest compartments, sailors moved with routine precision. But peace is always temporary in war zones. And no one aboard knew that within hours, they would face the most coordinated missile and drone assault on a U.S. carrier in decades. Exactly 4:42 a.m., April 2nd. Alarms shattered the silence. On the bridge, red icons exploded across radar displays. Dozens. Fast. Erratic. Some came in from high altitude, ballistic arcs. Others skimmed the ocean, barely visible above the wave tops. This wasn't a single strike. It was a full-scale, multi-vector ambush launched from northern Yemen. 15 medium-range ballistic missiles arced over the southern Arabian Peninsula. Simultaneously, over 20 drones flooded in from the west and northwest, many equipped with jamming pods, false targets, and signal disruptors. The electromagnetic spectrum turned to chaos. For 18 long seconds, Truman's main phased array radar system lost track of incoming threats. A blackout. A deadly pause against Mach 5 warheads. But the crew didn't freeze. This wasn't their first drill, though no drill could prepare for the sheer scale unfolding before them. On board USS Gravely and USS Mason, destroyers flanking the Truman, the Aegis combat system spun up, their SPY-1 radars clawing through the interference. Back on Truman, radar operators switched to manual tracking. Close-in weapon system crews, CIWS, ran to their stations. The ship wasn't blind for long, and when she saw, she fought. Still, one missile slipped through. It flew just feet above the ocean, evading the outer intercept net. It detonated near Truman's starboard bow. The ship shook violently. Inside, lights flickered. Alarms screamed. Every sailor felt it. But there was no breach, no fire, no casualties. This wasn't a stray shot. It was a precision strike meant to rattle the spine of a supercarrier. This was not a warning shot. It was a message, a declaration. An enemy hiding in hills and coastlines had just struck the most advanced warship on Earth with a coordinated, multi-layered assault. But the Truman did not yield. Not then, not ever. And now the storm had truly begun. The moment the first blast rocked the hull, the USS Harry S. Truman shifted from patrol to war. Below deck, red emergency lighting cast long shadows across steel corridors. Inside the Combat Information Center, voices sharpened, commands flew, confirmations echoed. The ship's crew didn't panic. They executed. Years of drills crystallized into a deadly ballet. The Truman Strike Group, once a scattered formation, now moved as one. It was time for a three-layer defense, unlike anything seen in modern naval combat. Layer 1, the outer shield. Miles from the Truman, the USS Gravely and USS Mason, guided missile destroyers, engaged first. Their Aegis combat systems identified 15 ballistic missiles diving toward the carrier group. The solution was immediate. SM-2 and SM-6 interceptors screamed skyward in staggered bursts, each trail a white-hot scar across the dawn sky. In seconds, 5 enemy warheads were vaporized mid-air, fireballs against the horizon. The first blow was absorbed, but the attack hadn't stopped. Layer 2, the agile kill zone. From vertical launch cells aboard the Truman, Evolved Sea Sparrow missiles, ESSM, streaked into the sky. Designed for speed and precision, they hunted the smaller, nimble drones slipping under the radar. These weren't suicide drones. They were blind hunters, searching for radar gaps, ready to relay coordinates for follow-on strikes. But they never made it. One by one, the drones were intercepted. Explosions dotted the sea like thunderheads on the horizon. Layer 3, point-blank fury. Close-in weapon systems, CIWS, affectionately called Sea-Whiz, whirred to life with their unmistakable mechanical scream. Gatling guns spun up at 6,000 rounds per minute, unleashing tungsten hell at anything too close to stop by missile. One drone flying low, barely feet above the ocean, slipped through the chaos. It aimed for Truman's flight deck, fast, quiet, and lethal. It never got there. A final burst of fire shredded it mid-air. The fireball erupted just 400 yards off the starboard side. The blast wave rolled across the deck, but the Truman didn't flinch. Every sailor stayed locked in place. Fire control crews stood ready, damage control teams on alert, eyes fixed on sensors, ears to comms. And through it all, no one died. No aircraft was hit. The hull stayed sealed. The storm had passed, but not the danger. In that moment, something became clear. The Houthis hadn't just tested a ship. They had tested the United States Navy. And the Navy didn't just survive, it dominated. Each missile, each drone, each jamming signal was met with coordination, training, and cold resolve. Not because of luck, but because of design. Because every layer had a purpose. Every link had been forged in years of planning. They came for a carrier. What they found was a fortress. Next, the U.S. would show Yemen the price to pay for daring to strike a carrier. As the last echoes of warheads faded over the Red Sea, an eerie silence fell aboard the USS Harry S. Truman. It wasn't peace, it was the calm between lightning and thunder. Sailors stood at their stations, eyes steady, breath tight. Below deck, the emergency red lighting remained, not as warning, but as reminder. The storm wasn't over, it was changing. Inside the Combat Information Center, CIC, the mood had shifted from reactive to offensive. Screens flickered with updated data. Hands moved methodically over controls. The crew didn't ask if there would be a response. Only how soon. This would not go unanswered. First priority, regain complete situational awareness. High above, an E-2D Hawkeye, the Navy's airborne early warning sentinel, banked and climbed, reaching optimal altitude. Its massive radar disc spun with purpose, painting a 360-degree battle space in real time. Below, satellite relays synced with drone surveillance, rebuilding the picture that jamming had tried to erase. The fog of war was lifting. Then came the counter-jamming. Already airborne, EA-18G Growlers were rerouted toward the southern corridor of the Red Sea. Their mission, electromagnetic dominance. With high-powered directed interference, the Growlers flooded enemy frequencies, targeting the same channels used by hostile drones just hours before. The result was immediate. Multiple UAVs sputtered midair, lost contact, and spiraled into the sea. It wasn't just retaliation, it was revenge through silence. Below in the war room, officers stood shoulder to shoulder with cyber technicians, strike planners, and intelligence analysts. Data flowed like blood through a beating heart. The Truman wasn't just a ship, it was now a nerve center for counter-strike coordination. Everything was synchronized. On the flight deck, ground crews moved with a quiet, focused rhythm. No shouting, no chaos, just the hard discipline of preparation. Armorers loaded precision-guided missiles into strike aircraft. Pilots reviewed final coordinates, eyes locked on mission tablets. Fuel lines hissed. Launch decks were cleared. Behind closed doors, commanders approved one of the most complex retaliatory operations in years. The message had been received. Now it was time to send one back, louder, clearer, and impossible to ignore. This wasn't emotional, it wasn't vengeance. It was doctrine. Because the message had changed. The United States wasn't simply going to defend, it was going to answer. loudly. By the afternoon of April 3rd, the missile strikes had ended. The sky above the Red Sea was clear. But while the world focused on missile craters and drone wreckage, something more profound, more revolutionary was happening just offshore. Aboard the USS Gravely and USS Mason, a different kind of war was underway. No missiles, no fireballs, no roaring jets. Their weapons were signals, waves, frequencies, algorithms. The target, what was left of the Houthis drone network. For months before the attack, the U.S. Navy had quietly tested a new operational doctrine, non-kinetic naval warfare. Now, for the first time, it was going live. At the heart of it all was the AN/SLQ-32V electronic warfare suite, better known to sailors as Slick 32. It broadcast powerful jamming pulses across enemy control bands, blinding UAVs mid-flight, frying GPS signals, corrupting data links, and the effect? Stunning. We're not just telling war stories. We're preserving history, decoding doctrine, and honoring those who serve in silence. Subscribe to Warfleet now. Like, share, comment. Let's keep uncovering the tactics, tech, and tenacity that shape our world, one strike group at a time. This is Warfleet, where war meets wisdom, where silence meets strategy. Stay ready, stay informed, and never underestimate what rides beneath the waves. Enemy drones didn't explode. They just stopped, mid-air, one by one, as if someone had pulled the plug on the sky. No smoke, no noise, just silence and descent. For the first time in naval history, American destroyers neutralized an active drone swarm without firing a single round. Not only did this preserve ammunition, it extended the strike group's endurance. More importantly, it proved a new kind of dominance, electromagnetic control of the battle space. But the U.S. wasn't acting alone. From the Mediterranean and Gulf of Aden, French and British naval assets joined the digital campaign. Their radar systems and ISR feeds expanded the strike group's reach, forming a coalition defense web that no enemy drone could pass through. The operation crossed domains, air, sea, cyber, and it worked seamlessly. No headlines, no press briefings, just black screens and lost signals on the enemy side. This wasn't a counterattack, it was erasure. A war without noise, a kill without flame. It was a new kind of warfare, multinational, multi-domain, and almost completely silent. By April 4th, intelligence confirmed the unthinkable. For 36 hours, not a single drone had launched. The Houthi UAV infrastructure was shattered. Radars silenced, control centers blinded. This wasn't just destruction, it was systemic paralysis. They lost the ability to fight, not by fire, but by disruption. No missiles, no drones, no signals. And that victory wasn't won by steel alone. It came through discipline, coordination, and control. Every sailor, every signal, every second. And in the silent war, America was not just prepared, it was already ahead. As April 5th dawned over the Red Sea, the horizon was quiet. No smoke trails, no echoes of CIWS fire, no buzzing drones, just the calm churn of water beneath the USS Harry S. Truman, a 100,000-ton testament to resolve. It had been tested, ambushed, targeted with everything a modern asymmetric enemy could throw at it. And it had stood, not just intact, triumphant. But what shocked the world wasn't just that the Truman survived, it's how it survived. This was not a story of one missile, one drone, or one ship. It was a layered, synchronized, relentless orchestration of human discipline, machine precision, combat doctrine, and unshakable principles. From the SPY-1 radar operator aboard the Gravely to the Sea Sparrow missile technician on Truman's deck. From Growler pilots flying electronic warfare patterns to the analysts buried deep in CIC deciphering jamming codes in real time, every part functioned exactly as it was designed to. And that design, it wasn't just military, it was philosophical. This engagement wasn't just a victory in a skirmish, it was a message to the world, to the proxy militias testing weapons in the shadows, to state actors watching from Moscow, Tehran, or Beijing, to pirate groups saboteurs and drone operators hiding behind civilian terrain. You do not test a U.S. carrier strike group without consequence. In just 48 hours, an entire drone infrastructure was dismantled. Launch teams scattered, radar sites reduced to silence, not just by missiles, but by signals, by silence, by preparation. Yet behind that success lay the hard truth. How did they get that close? What happens when the next enemy is faster, smarter, or backed by a near-peer military? Inside the Pentagon and aboard every Allied command ship, the message was clear. We must evolve. Faster AI-assisted radars, hypersonic interceptors, directed energy weapons, lasers, microwave cannons, cyber defenses that respond in microseconds. The future isn't steel, it's signal, software, and speed. But even as the battlefield shifts, one truth remains. Technology doesn't win wars. People do. And the people aboard the USS Harry S. Truman, the Gravely, the Mason, they didn't just follow procedure. They embodied it. They showed the world what happens when you hit America on the high seas. Rear Admiral Marcus Vance said it best, behind closed doors just days later. They hit us to prove a point. We responded to remind the world, we're still the ones who write the rules on water. And that message, it didn't stop at the Red Sea. It traveled across the globe, quietly, relentlessly, and with absolute precision. If this story moved you, if you believe the world needs to understand what real strength looks like, help us tell more.